Hello. It's us, all of us, and it's just as well. It's a Tech Tuesday because, one, it's a Tuesday, and two, I've been shopping again and bought some new to me at least, gear. But hey, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't gamble, and I have few interests. Do I have any interest? Few interests in life beyond photography, and well, what's the point in having money in the bank these days? Devaluing faster than any camera equipment, if sensibly purchased, can depreciate. So I have no qualms or guilt trip about buying stuff. If I can afford it and I think it can improve my hobby or at least my enjoyment of it, then I'm all in, and that's precisely what I've gone and done. But just what have I bought? I know it's rather obvious from the video's title, but this is YouTube, so there has to be some drama, doesn't there? Now, I've long been a fan of the Micro Four Thirds system, and I have for a long time now said that if I was starting out in photography today, that is what I would buy into. The size and weight advantages for a chap of my physical decrepitness, it's a word, it is now anyway, are just too good to ignore. Now, I've got some experience of this smaller system, having once owned a very early Panasonic, I think maybe a G2 maybe, and an Olympus OMD EM10 Mark 1. These names just roll off the tongue, don't they? And thanks to my very good friend Alan at Photography for Enjoyment, I borrowed his EM1 Mark II a while back. And seeing the images Alan gets from his Pen F and his OMD EM1 Mark II, I think it's a Mark II, made me even more certain that this was the way to go. But I'm really heavily invested in the Fujifilm APSC system, and a little bit less so in Nikon full frame. So much so that a complete switch really isn't possible. Well, not right now anyway, at least. Now, after making the transition to a macro/nature photographer, I'd always hankered after the king of macro lenses, the OM system. Was it Olympus? It's OM system, I think. M Zuiko 90mm f3.5. Trouble is that it's A, expensive, and B, made to fit the Micro Four Thirds camera system. So when one became available on the used market for a reasonably decent price, and they do seem to hold their value quite well, I followed through with that promise I made myself to get one, and well, here it is, my very own example of this gorgeous hunk of glass and metal. Now, of course, only owning Fujifilm APS-C and Nikon full-frame cameras, I needed something to stick the lens onto. Going back to Alan's loaner, I really enjoyed the experience of shooting with that camera, and after asking him again for some advice on what would be the best for me and my photography, chose to get the same Mark II model for myself. So the this one. After all, I don't need the bells and whistles of the Mark III or the newer OM system models, nice as they are, especially that gorgeous OM3. And although I have been lusting after a Pen F, I settled on this camera right here to partner my new 90mm lens. Now, I do have a deal of experience of and really enjoyed shooting with that 4:3 aspect ratio sensor in the form of my GFX 50R and 100 cameras by Fujifilm that I've owned in the past. I just find that native ratio much more pleasing and easier to work with than, the 3:2 ratio on my other cameras. So with all those stars in the shape of the lens I lusted after, the size and weight, and that aspect ratio I so adore aligning, it seemed only right and proper to, seize the moment, carpe moment, and buy them. Let's have a quick look at the camera first, and it is an absolute minter with no marks in it that I can detect. The sensor is a small 20 megapixel job and is stabilized to within an inch of its life by possibly the best anti-shake system available. And 20 megapixels is more than enough anyway. Despite its small footprint, the camera feels reassuringly dense, much like me. It exudes an air of quality, not like me, if you like, feeling really rather quite nice in the hand, despite its diminutive size. The grip is really quite substantial, and everything that you touch and interact with, again, has a quality feel to it with dials, buttons and switches. All really lovely to use. There are some quirks to overcome, and as soon as I learn to accept that the camera is different from my Fujis and Nikons, they will surely become distant memories. apart from one thing, and that is the position of the on-off switch. That's a just why moment right there. The menu system is well, vast and not exactly easy to navigate, but for my style of shooting, where as much as possible is left in manual mode, I think I'll rarely have to dive into menus after setting the camera up as I want, and I will be pestering Alan probably to help me in that respect. I've partnered the camera with a three-legged thing L bracket, and although it's not custom made for the camera, it does afford easy access to all ports, etc. And I've inserted two SanDisk 128GB SD cards and set the camera up to record RAW to both, with one as a clone of the other, my usual workflow choice. Onto the lens then, and it is a thing of beauty. Again, it feels extremely well made with that quality denseness to it. Not to say that it's heavy, just that it's reassuringly not light, if you get where I'm coming from. It feels, you know, expensive then, if you like. It's a 180mm, and I think from what other photographers have said, a 4:1 magnification in full frame equivalenceness. That's another word, look it up. So provides plenty of reach for macro work. I might at some stage invest in a teleconverter for it as well. We'll have to see about that though. It has a clutch operated manual focus ring, which is really nice to have and to use, as well as focus distance limiters, a dedicated macro position and a function button on the lens, which at the moment I've customized to turn the camera's digital 2x teleconverter on or off. There's no dedicated aperture collar though, which is a little bit disappointing. Closest focus distance is, 224mm from the sensor. It has image stabilization, which works in sync with the camera sensor stabilization as well, to provide Lord only knows how many stops of assistance, and like the camera, is fully weather sealed. Aperture range is f3.5 right through to 22, though at its closest focus distance you're limited to f5 at the widest end. It's got a standard 62mm filter thread and a hood that has to be, I think, the best I've ever used. It has a really positive engagement with the lens, but twists on or off really easily and accurately, unlike some I've used. Fujifilm. It also has a lockout when fitted, so it's not going to fall off, accidentally. So that's what I bought and what I think of it. But why did I buy it? I mean, after all, I've already got 4 cameras and macro lenses, and surely I didn't need another kit to photograph small things. Well, obviously I don't need it, but after borrowing Alan's camera along with his really nice 30mm macro lens and really enjoying that experience, as well as seeing what the lens in particular is capable of, I figured it was a bit of a no-brainer if I really wanted to progress my macro image making. Also, carrying even the small Fujifilm kit now is becoming increasingly difficult as my back continues to deteriorate at an alarming rate, really. So if I can lighten the load even just a little and keep me enjoying things for just that little bit longer, that can only be a positive, right? And a quick comparison here on my Fujifilm X-H2 with the TT Artisan's 100mm f2.8 macro comes in at 1,410 grams, whereas the Olympus and OM system combo tips the scales at a featherweight 1,009, is it? Just check. 1,009 grams, that's right. And I'm unlikely to lose much money on it, I think, when the time does come that I have to, give up, as I think I bought pretty well, and I can't see used prices dropping much lower than I paid, especially for the lenses. They don't tend to come up for sale that often, I found. Well, not good ones anyway. Anyway, I have no plans at present to extend this kit beyond that possible teleconverter. I can't justify getting a wide angle for landscapes or a telephoto for wildlife. Well, not while I have my Fujifilm gear especially. But if I ever decide to sell that, then I can see me diving headfirst into this much smaller, much lighter system. I have invested in an M42 screw-on to micro four thirds adapter, so I can try out some of my vintage lenses on the camera too, though. To finish off, now I've only had the kit for a couple of days, and really rainy ones at that. Here are some early images. Let me know in the comments what you think, not just of the pictures, but whether I've been a bit silly in buying yet another camera system. Okay, there is a video on Saturday where I'll be looking at that small collection of vintage lenses that I have. So if that's your groove thing, then join us. If it isn't, then don't bother. Obviously, it's a free country, but as always, just endeavour to be a nice person, okay? Ta-ra.